cheers, man.
And we thank the producers, they're here. Can I get my creative team to stand up? Everyone who worked on this project in a creative way or anything to do with the project. And the recent piece from Fayetteville Broadcasting, all our funders. I could not have made this film without you guys either. Thank you so much, everyone here. You have become my family. I really, the love I feel for you guys is beyond words. Thank you so much.
Very nice.
No worries. I also wanted to shout out your mother, Millie.
Yeah, Mom, I think she sits down before I had a chance to take a photo.
But no, walking in, I already heard sniffles, and I was like, let me compose myself. The moderator should not be the one crying. But I kind of just want to begin at the end. What was that day like shooting in the house that you were turning over to your mom? And was that kind of the moment where it felt like what the film was coming all together? Or?
Yeah, so what's funny is my mom, when I'm revealing the house to her, you know, she's crying and she says, I was only kidding, I was only joking. The reason why is that, so I had bought that house, I had closed on it like, 2 weeks before, so it was like an empty house. And so we had to have Brad, who flew in to record that. The day before we were filming the Gustav stuff with the wings. And so I was like, Brad, when you come over that morning, I'm gonna ask you, so how's your Airbnb? And you're gonna be like, oh, it's really weird. They just gave me like an empty house with no furniture. And I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna tell Airbnb or whatever. And my mom was like, yeah, you should tell them because that's not fair to put you in a place with no furniture. And so then when we go in, because the interview was there, I'm like, Mom, we have to bring our own chairs to sit down in or whatever. And so when we go in, my mom enters and she's like, wow, it's a nice house. I could see myself living here. And so yeah, that's why she's like, I was only kidding. So that's where it all came from. So she was completely surprised. And this had taken me about a month and a half of finding a house and closing on it, and it's my first time ever buying, and it feels really great. Like I said, really good to create something life-sized. And so did it for you, Mother. Enjoy.
Were you crying on the day as much as we were crying watching the film?
So yeah, I was there. I was behind the whole shot of them walking through the house. I was carrying around the 360 camera, so you saw the whole setup as we walked away. But yeah, I guess I worked on my acting job, so selling the idea that that was a very bad Airbnb, and I was like, oh yeah, I just have a bed, but you know what, we're working so much doing these other shots, I don't really need furniture anywhere else, I'm just gonna go there and sleep, and yeah, but her just trying to keep a straight face, and I think William was too, it was very hard to not let it out beforehand. And then when she started crying, it was very hard. I had to almost walk out of the room to keep myself from taking away from the audio that we were capturing.
So you mentioned in the film that this is a project that started in 2021. You've had several award-winning shorts that have covered your family that are all a part of this film. I would wonder, was sort of the genesis for this becoming a feature, the idea of we have the shorts, let's make it something longer, or yeah, what was sort of the basis for making this a full-length feature?
Yeah, I think what's interesting is the project, the first thing my mother and I collaborated on was bringing her mother's voicemails to life. because in 2013 I created a short film called How You Doing Boy? Voicemails from Grandpa. And in that, and my friend Chris Cookson over here helped me design the font, the grandpa font. That's based on his actual handwriting. So we did this short film, and it didn't get into Sundance, didn't get into any big festivals, but it got into the Atlanta Film Festival, where it caught the attention of a certain Let Her Take Over.
Yeah, so I saw How You Doing Boy? Voicemails from Grandpa, and at that time, I was doing a one-woman show off Broadway, and I had the attention of people from HBO who told me, I want to know what you're doing from now on, because they just love the authenticity of the story that I was telling. And so I knew that I needed to focus on growing that connection with great stories. And while I was making them myself, when I saw William's How You Doing Boy? Voicemails from Grandpa, I said, I have to meet this filmmaker. And I reached out to him, I found him on Facebook, and I said, I'm a producer, I'm making films, I want to make a film with you, I have the attention with HBO, I have a one-woman show, people, I have some attention, let's work together, because I think that this is genius, and I'm making a web series right now, and I think that we can make How You Doing Boy? Voicemails from Grandpa into a web series. And we made a web series, and the first thing that I did was send it to somebody up at HBO, and she said to me basically the same thing that she said to me when I sent her my first web series. She said, I love this. Let me kick it up to LA and see what they say. Now, when it was my thing that I was promoting, I was afraid to answer, and I was just waiting for the answer to come back to me, which it didn't. But when it was this brilliant Grandpa Knows Best, I wrote back to her immediately, and I said, they're gonna love it, I love it, you love it. I know exactly where this belongs. It belongs on HBO Latino, and Grandpa needs to be the mascot of HBO Latino, like the gecko is of Geico. And she loved that idea, and within weeks, she got us connected with Leslie Cohen, who's in the audience today, who was the head of acquisitions at HBO Latino and has done so much for so many people especially in the Latino filmmaking community. She loved it, negotiated it, and then within 6 months we were airing Grandpa Knows Best on HBO, and they bought us for 2 seasons.
So we worked on that, and what I think is funny is when I showed Grandpa him on TV, his reaction, because so the premise of Grandpa Knows Best is I open it up to viewers on social media. They would ask my grandpa questions, and then I would call him and be like, hey Grandpa, give me advice on eating healthy and avoiding junk food, or Grandpa, how do you feel about rap music? So things like that, and I would make these little episodes. And when I showed him like 2 of the episodes, he's like, I guess it's okay, I guess it's a good thing, but I don't thinking these young people are going to liking me, because the young people, they wanting to see the show with the fast car and the gun, the boom boom boom. I don't thinking they want to see. And he became a little larger than life character. He's 4'10" in real life, but yeah. So basically, I forgot what your question was, but we've been doing this for years and years, and my team is amazing.
Well, I was kind of asking about the film's timeline. I think just coming towards the end, Ben, sort of what brought you onto this as now an executive producer?
Sure. Well, I've known William for probably close to 15 years, and we're a product of the same system. We've been at LALIFF. We've been blessed by Latino Public Broadcasting on almost all of our documentaries, thanks to Eddie and the organization back there. So it's been incredible. Like, we're a product of the access that programs and organizations and platforms like LALIFF and Latino Film Institute have given us, and now we obviously are executing, right? And we're collaborating and we're doing incredible things. But the first time I met William, I was just inspired with him, and I had a project that I was like, I just hired him because I wanted to work with him. That was probably like 15 years ago. We've stayed in touch over the years, and he invited me to be part of this project. Elaine obviously had been a big part of it, and Aaron and Brad, and just honored. And the other thing is, once I started learning more about the film and about, Millie's story, there's a lot of parallels. My mother's name is Millie. My father's name is William. My mother suffered from, severe diabetes to the end of her life, rest in peace. And I was able to buy my family a house because of the work that we do and the stories that we tell. So there's just so many parallels, and I was just like, I got John excited about it, John Leguizamo, and so we just hopped on board, and we were so excited to support it. We're so proud of you, William. You're incredible. Everything you've done, it's just been so innovative, so inspiring. I'm just so proud of you.
All I want to do is just inspire, younger people to tell their stories in their own unique voice. Because if we don't tell our own stories in our own unique voice, someone else will. And so I think that's what I learned in doing films about my family is like, I just developed the courage to make these stories because I wasn't seeing them out there. And I feel like they feel like a little bit like, when you live in a trailer in your grandmother's backyard and your parents are disabled, it's almost like society writes you off. But I didn't let that get to me. And I thank my mother for helping me keep that flame lit in me throughout my life, and organizations like LALIFF and NALIFF and LPB for really helping that grow into an artistic wildfire.
It's so true that we don't see stories like this enough on screen, both from a representation standpoint, but also like I wanted to get into the filmmaking standpoint as well, because this is so multimedia. We're seeing so many different things, and I think Aaron, Brad, you may be able to speak to this as well. But like, what were some of the challenges you faced that kind of turned into new opportunities? Like, for example, I heard at one point you wanted to do the figures for the entire film.
Yeah, I mean, I like to say that we could have easily made like 5 feature films out of the footage that we had, just because William had like nearly 20 years of films that he'd already been making. So there were cuts that practically included entire short films within this feature, and at a certain point it was like, what do we remove? What do we hone in on? Because at a certain point we had a conversation where we were like, well, that short film exists on its own out in the world already. It doesn't need to be in its entirety in this feature. Let's let the feature be its own unique thing. And then there were entire scenes that were animated, lovingly crafted. People spent months working on them. And then we were like, you know what, that scene doesn't belong in the film. And so, kind of killing our darlings, figuring out like what we could let go of and how to hone in on like the core, the heart of the story, and what would serve the overall story best.
Yeah, and to expand upon that, like the nature of documentary is your story is ever changing. So when we finished, Chili, Millie, Elaine, and William and I were like, mostly William was like, let's make a feature, and he had a direction, and the life events that we witnessed in this film kind of changed what we initially intended to do, and we pivoted and created this film, and it was an adventure. Yeah, like Aaron was saying, there was entire scenes that we had to let go, or even completely redo. It was in one animation style. We put the film, rough cut of the film together, and we felt, this isn't working. Let's switch it to one of the other animator styles. Just everything was always in service of the story that we wanted to tell.
But also, in addition to that, you mentioned what were some of the obstacles. So it was William's original vision to actually have it all in the miniatures. But we couldn't afford to have it all in the miniatures because that just cost too much money. So that's when we were so blessed. William found amazing animators, some of them online, a lot of them Latino.
And one of them is I'm gonna mess it up, a LALIFF animation fellow, I don't know what it's called. Julie, what's it called? Spark Fellowship. And she's here now, she's a Spark Fellow.
We had a film here as well.
Animator, and I'm very happy that half of the creatives on this project are half are female or female identifying, and about a third of us are over a third of us are queer. I think that's really important, that diversity, we champion that both in front of the camera and behind the camera.
For sure. You mentioned sort of like there was a process of like kill your darlings. Is there anything in the film that like you really sort of stood your ground on and are happy that it made it in?
Well, Well, this cut you guys just saw was 5 minutes. You're the first people ever to see this new iteration. This is the second version of the film since Sundance, and it's 5 minutes shorter. I cut out some stuff to push the narrative and make it a bit more focused. And scenes that I really stood up for. Oh my God, I'm gonna remember like 10 minutes from now. I'm not sure.
I guess like if one of Brad.
Well, so I was gonna say like there was a lot of debate on certain scenes and either embellishments or things like that, but it goes to the quote that you often like to go to of getting to the simplest.
Yeah, so there's a quote that I lived through that guides me by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, the author of The Little Prince, who says an artist knows he has achieved perfection not when there's nothing left to add, but nothing left to take away. And I find that guides all the projects, because we can throw in everything into the all ingredients, but you might just get something that tastes nasty, and so you have to just really refine it. And I'm happy that I have these editors or these people who are producers, but also help me write and look at my many edits and drafts and help me put it together. But like one way they help challenge me is sometimes I don't even listen to my own advice. That one scene of my dog, the dog scene, Gustav was my boy, that gets me every time I watch it. I loved him so much. But that one dolly scene where I'm just like petting him on my lap, I was throwing in a lot of visual elements. I was actually going to have it snow, like inside. I'm like, guys, it's going to make sense because we just saw the snow globe and it's going to make sense. And then Brad was like, Will, less is more, less is more. I'm like, no, you're wrong. And then I exported it and I'm like, let's do a version without. And I'm like, yeah, without, there's so much going on that's so important in the scene, less is more. And so I am humble enough to know that I'm still learning. I'm still like, then I'm happy I have people that I could trust with my baby and give me feedback.
And a quick note, that scene I think hits all of us here. Like, you talked about having to compose yourself. I know I did before I got up here. And several of us actually lost pets in production too.
And just really quick, I was supposed to go back to North Carolina, so LA, like 3 days before Gustav passed away. He did pass away the day after Christmas, because Christmas Day he got really sick, and we still don't really know why. We took him to the vet thinking like, oh, maybe he needs his stomach pumped or something. The stomach just got really big, and I'll save you all the details, but like, no, he's dying and you need to put him down. So I did not even see that coming, and it's not how I wanted my Christmas in 2022 to go. But I think like, what if I wasn't there? What if I had left to LA? Just 3 days later, he would have died with my mother, who just experienced my grandma's death. And so I find that like, it was his gift that he knew when to go because he knew I was there. And so I experienced a lot of beauty like that. This like raw beauty of life in making this, and the sanctity of life, and letting go and using creativity to help let go.
If I could add to William, like for my fellow documentary filmmakers out there, this is the hardest way to do a documentary, where you put the camera on yourself. It is so brave, and so, you have to be so vulnerable. I hide behind the camera, not that I guess maybe I am a little bit afraid to put it on myself, but like for you to be able to point the camera and to expose all of it, it's just like, this is elite level of documentary filmmaking, and I'm so I'm in awe of what you've done.
I think closure is a big part of this film, and new beginnings. I was just curious, like, this is a feature in a long line of you making projects about your family. Do you think that's something you're gonna continue doing, or was this something that was kind of like closing the chapter on telling the story of your family?
A lot of people ask me like, Will, what's the next big thing? And I'm like, I'm tired right now. I spent 5 years on this, and I'm traveling, and good news, well, exhausting news. Tomorrow, so I'm gonna go to the closing night party, have a good time, and then tomorrow I'm getting on a plane to go to Australia to screen this at the Sydney Film Festival, and then And then after that, Sheffield Doc Fest, which is in England, and then DC Docs. So there's like a lot of traveling, but along the way, I'm still trying to think what are my next steps. And I'm trying to enjoy the ride and enjoying all the people I meet during this ride. And if anything, I have a lot of ideas that I'm cooking up for both narratives and for documentaries, but I think I want to
He's
try.
written several pilots, and we
Oh,
have
yes,
amazing
yes.
pitch decks, and they're ready to be series, including animated and live action.
Let's start a bidding war.
Anybody out there, reach us.
Who wants to fund my project for 100,000 over here? I see 200,000 over here.
I have a collection of probably over 100 voice memos from William documenting the ideas that are brimming in his head. So yeah, I can testify to the fact that there's lots of great ideas out there.
Right, it's a group text, but for William, he leaves long messages. Hey, everybody, it's like 2 a.m. When you guys get this message, I want you to look at the latest cut. But we have all of those, and I keep telling him I'm deaf in one ear, and it's very hard for me to hear those messages. But he keeps leaving them, and we know why, right? Because they're brilliant.
I will say, just to jump on, you were talking about Australia and Sheffield. One of the ways that you guys can support us is by following us on social media and letting people know around the world where we're screening.
At TheyDream Film on Instagram.
Yes, so on all our socials, on Facebook and Instagram, we're at TheyDream Film. Our website is also theydreamfilm.com, and you can spread the word. You can tell if you know people in Australia, know people in DC, we're gonna be in San Antonio, we're gonna be in a lot of different places. Spread the word, tell your friends, tell your relatives, tell them to bring some Kleenex, and get ready for a good cathartic cry. And yeah, that would mean a lot to us. That would support us, and that's the best way to support William doing future work, is to support this existing one.
Yeah. That's so amazing to hear how the film is traveling around the world, but we're so happy to have it here, closing LALIFF, watching it among family. Just to close, I wanted to ask you and sort of everyone on the panel, what have festivals like this one brought you?
Courage. The courage to be vulnerable, honestly. Like again, mainstream media wants, especially in the 90s, it's what turned TV on. If I saw a Latino man on TV or film, they were a drug dealer or a gangster. If it was a woman, they were a maid or like a bimbo sort of character. And only through coming to festivals like this and meeting people, I saw that we could put authenticity back where it belongs. We can strip it away from American consumerism that wants us to digest. This is what a Latino should be. This is what you like. This is what you should wear. And we're done with that. It's my job, as well as every filmmaker here, tell stories authentically. I'm not saying it always needs to be like positive, like, oh, our characters are great, nothing's bad. Like, you saw the testy relationship I had with my father in this film, but I still chose to love him. That was my choice. But like, that authenticity, I wanted to put that out there because there's probably other queer people that have gone through things that are similar. And so I just want to show honesty in my work, and I encourage everybody, even if you're writing a fantasy, just be honest. Be honest with your intentions and have it shine with authenticity and go crazy. Just show us something we haven't seen before, and just keep trying. Like, you'll get, you'll find your voice that way.
Oh, and we're also going to be on Latino Public Broadcasting next year. So that's another way you can support us. So just keep an eye out for lots of developments there, and spread the word.
It's
I was gonna say, one experience that was just super heartfelt for me was when we were at Sundance. Much of our team was spread out around the country. So over 5 years, we had this deep connection, worked together, but we didn't meet in person until Sundance. So we got to share this beautiful bond for all these years, but only cemented it in person there, and it was just awesome to share space and share community. And that's the thing, is like film festivals, it's community of creatives and just a world unto itself that artists, I feel any artist can get something from. and should experience.
Yeah, I will say that there's always this moment when we're watching a film at festivals where I can hear the sniffles start to like kind of reach a crescendo around me, and it's just it's really beautiful. I find it really moving. One of my favorite moments from Sundance was when everybody's like sniffling and clearly like in their feels, and then somebody blew their nose really really loudly, and everybody in the audience started laughing then because we all knew that we were all like kind of in sync emotionally, all just feeling the same intense emotion, and it just was so cathartic and so special. And also another favorite moment of mine is when we screened this film in New York City, and Liza Colon-Zayas came to the screening, and she was incredibly moved by it. And she came, and she's from The Bear. Yes, if you're not familiar with her work, she's the Emmy Award-winning actress from The Bear. But she came up to William afterwards, and she's like, "William, that was like a year's worth of therapy. Thank you."
I would say for me, LALIFF is, the energy here is intense. I've been to festivals all over the world, including obviously Sundance, South by Southwest, everything. But when I first showed up at LALIFF, I felt this energy that just washed over me, and it gave me it just filled my heart and soul. And earlier today, there was an award ceremony where we got honorable mention, thank you very much. And there was a young lady who won for Best Short Film, and she had said that she felt strongly that she was the one, like she's the greatest beneficiary of LALIFF. And I felt sitting there, I am the greatest beneficiary of LALIFF. And I feel like so many filmmakers feel the exact same way. The support, the awards. Now it's an Oscar qualifying short films. When Oscar qualifying, what growth! Yes, and the works in progress and everything that the Latino Film Institute and LALIFF and YCP are doing. They're creating a legacy in ways greater than any other film festival that I've ever been to and probably ever will be into. So all of the supporters here, all the funders here, if you bought a ticket here, it doesn't go to us, it goes to this incredible film festival. So bring people next year, encourage people to submit their films, and I cannot say enough about this incredible film festival. And look at who shows up. I mean, we have Jimmy Smits in the audience, we have Eddie James Olmos, I've had Maria Rivas. Oh, thank you LALIFF, thank you Axel Caballero, thank you.
Great. That's a tough act to follow. I mean, for me, LALIFF represents a shift in my career since I had my first film here in 2019. I look at it as like before LALIFF and after LALIFF. But the main thing is that it's a great reminder to let the world know that we belong in the Chinese Theater on Hollywood Boulevard, not just 1 week, 52 weeks a year. And it's a reminder to us that we belong here. This is where we belong, in the big leagues. So thank you, LALIFF. Thank you for everything you've done to support us. And it's a beautiful family we're part of.
I just want to say also that last year, my directorial debut in a feature film, Brownsville Bread, was the centerpiece. And in the audience was our distributor, who ended up distributing us, and we were in theaters for over 5 weeks in New York. We became Oscar qualified. It was here at LALIFF that happened. Nowhere else.
Thank you so much for sharing with us. And thank you all so much for coming. And that's LALIFF 2026.